Hello. Today we're going to take a few moments and go through something I think is pretty exciting. It's the integration between ExtraHop's RevealX NDR platform and Crowdstrike's Falcon platform, as well as their Logscale solution as well. How these tools can come together to provide better, complete coverage for the enterprise, um, analysis of data sources that extend beyond just logs, and even beyond just the telemetry that's accessible from things like an EDR agent installed right on an endpoint, and begin to cover the broad reaches of the enterprise in a way that only NDR can, where you're analyzing those real underlying packets flowing between devices to pick up all the details that are lost in between things like IoT devices, containers, everything that's so difficult to monitor and maintain visibility of using conventional monitoring solutions. But how, when we pull all this together, we can achieve complete visibility across the enterprise and really streamline workflows for our analysts. And probably the most important part is get actionable intelligence about what's happening in our environment quicker and with greater fidelity. So to start us off here, I have taken us to ExtraHop's website where we look at our partner. Solutions with CrowdStrike specifically. And I want to talk first about the Falcon platform. That's CrowdStrike's EDR solution, how we integrate with it, and what some of the key benefits are. Then from there, we'll flow over into Logscale a bit to just kind of talk briefly about the value of integrating with a SIM like that as well. So the key features that come with this integration are push button response, the ability to respond in real time, so the ability to do automatic containment. We'll talk about that a bit. The ability to correlate detections between the platforms. So you're looking at detections collected from wire data, from packet telemetry, as well as detections collected from those EDR agents that are sitting right at the source, right at the devices where the activity is taking place. We're going to talk a bit about endpoint forensics, continuous agent inventory, so being able to analyze and discover the devices on your network that have agents installed on them, specifically the CrowdStrike Falcon agent in this case, and maybe more importantly, identify assets that perhaps should have the agent installed but don't, so that you can go back and cover that off. Finally, we'll just have a look at the deeper analysis that you're capable of when you're able to take high quality detections produced from network telemetry and feed those to a powerful multi-source log analyzing solution, a SIM like Logscale. So let's dig in. So we're going to jump straight into the ExtraHop platform. So this is the administration page of RevealX 360, which is ExtraHop RevealX's cloud-delivered platform. So 360, to be brief, is a SaaS-delivered version of the RevealX platform where everything but the packet sensors is managed for you in the cloud, and you just deploy packet sensors close to the workloads to get to the telemetry you need. Of course, multiple deployment models are available, but this is the one we're going to be working through today. Now, as we jump into it, you see that we have CrowdStrike featured twice here at the top as they're our premier integration partner. And we're going to step first into the CrowdStrike Falcon integration, which is really the bread and butter of all of this and the main thing we're going to talk about today. Now, what I want to emphasize first, and I'm going to provide a little bit of personal color here, I have a background in professional services and solutions engineering for a number of years now. And one of the things I've seen happen time and again is an organization makes an investment in a platform because they are interested in or want to benefit from the compound interest that they can gain, that they can earn from having multiple solutions deployed in their environment that their analysts like and use, that talk to each other, share data, and make each other better. So if you've got an EDR platform and an NDR platform that work together and can share telemetry, then you raise the value of both of those investments together. And that's very exciting for security teams, especially when they're looking to maximize the level of effort that each of their analysts put in. However, in very large organizations, it's very common that after this investment gets made, analysts either stick only to the one tool that they're used to, or even worse, and I've seen this happen many times, the organization actually never manages to operationalize the new tool due to bureaucracy, red tape, deployment issues, all the challenges that go through this, but most commonly, deployment issues. It's difficult to get multiple tools hooked together, get all of this deployed, and start getting value. So let's step back into this and see how easy it can be. So with ExtraHop and CrowdStrike, the only thing you need to do in order to integrate these two tools together is go to CrowdStrike and create an API credential specifically for ExtraHop with very limited and specific permissions. Bring that over here to ExtraHop, set the credential, test the connection. Once it's established, Enabling integration features are as easy as going through here and ticking boxes for the ones you want. Now that we've got all these turned on here, we'll step through each of these and I want to show you the value that these bring. So first, let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to kind of step through these maybe in least to most important in my own mind value, and let's look at some of the things that they do. But one of the things that is often a hit and a place I like to start is the ability to leverage ExtraHop's passive wire data analysis to discover which assets in your environment currently have the Falcon agent installed and which ones don't. There's two big benefits to this. The first one being the obvious one: discover assets that should have the agent installed and don't, so that you can go remediate that. The second one, though, is to help you understand how much surface area you have that can't be covered by agents. This could be things like IoT, appliances, various solutions that simply aren't compatible with an agent. And this is really where having a competent NDR solution in play is going to really provide a lot of value, as you're covering off for all of this dark space that you don't have visibility into. So ExtraHop has a feature called device groups, and this is the ability to take assets that are passively discovered and updated in real time from off the environment, provide some simple criteria and rules to them in order to group them together so that you can see how many you have, analyze them as a group, dig into them individually. And here I've made a few different groups with rules, and we have one here called clients without Crowdstrike installed. As I open up this group and we go to the properties, what I want to show you here, what I emphasize, is how easy this is. In order to make a group that's going to look at all the traffic on the network, find every single device that doesn't have Crowdstrike installed, based on the telemetry that we see from it communicating back and forth and presumably up to Crowdstrike services and the servers on your environment, is simply as easy as creating a rule that says match all where software does not equal Crowdstrike Falcon. Now, the really great thing about device groups is that I can combine as many rules as I want. So I can say, Windows devices that don't include Falcon, or Linux devices. I can create filters across a gamut of things such as name, cloud accounts for cloud-related assets, network localities, software subnets, how I've tagged them, what the vendor is. I can get really deep here, but the point I want to emphasize is that I can find all the devices where Crowdstrike hasn't been observed by simply creating this one simple rule and choosing Crowdstrike from the extensive library of software types that we identify. By doing this, I now have a group of 986 devices in this test environment that don't currently have Crowdstrike Falcon installed, allowing me to then sort this by what type of devices they are, what activity they're doing, and I can begin to decide where I need to go remediate and better understand my non-agent covered surface within the enterprise. Now, what value do we get beyond this whenever it comes to the individual assets? Well, let's have a look at one. So I'm going to step into a device here in this environment that has the Crowdstrike Falcon agent installed. We look at this PC, and over here in the metadata column, we see some software that we've identified. We see it as a Windows device, and we see that Crowdstrike Falcon is observed as being an installed agent on this asset. We learn a lot about this device here. We can see all sorts of passively discovered information about it, such as the traffic, the protocols, any active detections, all of its peer devices, so everybody it's talking to on the local network. Lots of good stuff here we could dig into, but we're going to focus on what we can do around this integration with Crowdstrike. So I can actually click right over here to view this device in Crowdstrike. This is going to open a new tab for me and navigate me into my already authenticated Crowdstrike session and bring me directly to this device, so that now I can begin to use this other security tool that I have to investigate further and understand more about the asset, leveraging data from both of these solutions at one time. Now, what about going beyond this? What if there's actually an attack in progress? Well, I've got a detection here now, admittedly, not a very high-risk detection, LLM&R activity. However, this is a detection, and all detections that ExtraHop has for these devices where this integration is enabled have a really cool feature called push-button response. What this does is, let's assume that this wasn't just a potential opportunity to harden my network or improve my security posture by preventing this type of activity, but I was actually dealing with something on the kill chain, so potentially an exfiltration attempt, some sort of brute force activity, something that I have identified as being something I need to stop with urgency. Well, then I can reach over here to this contain devices in Crowdstrike. I can click this button, go through here and select all the devices that are part of this detection that I wish to contain, and contain them. Once this is done, I'll get a UX notification here letting me know that the containment is being processed. And once it's done, it'll update and let me know that the device is contained, and we should see that in a moment. While it's happening, I'll talk a little bit about this. An analyst who discovers something from one of the various data sources that they have, be it in the SIM, in the NDR, in the EDR, once they discover something and they know they need to respond, and they know they need to take action, then you have to hope that analyst understands all the options that they do have for taking action, is able to select the correct one, and then understands the workflow necessary to do it. What we're trying to do here is short circuit all of that and make it very easy for an analyst who identifies something on the screen that they need to stop immediately, to have a panic button that they're able to hit right there to put the R in NDR, take remediation action in that moment and stop that threat. And then once that's been contained, as it is now, work backwards from that and go back and decide if this is something we can release, what have you. But we're able to go ahead and take machine speed remediation on that problem right then and there, and then work back from that and let our processes take over. Now that this has been contained, I can go over to CrowdStrike and look at this device. We'll grab a browser refresh here and see a fresh version of it. And we can see the status of this device here. So we can look and see that the device has been contained, and we can lift that containment. We are just testing. And now the containment's been lifted. So this is a really powerful feature, and a big part of our integration with CrowdStrike is that ability to take that human-driven orchestration and go ahead and stop those threats when we see them. Now, what about machine speed remediation? What about whenever you want to have automated containment take place? Well, there's multiple ways to do this, and I have a little bit of an example here we can look at together. There are two approaches that we might take for automated remediation. Now, the preferred one, in my opinion, is to go through a SOAR or at least go through a SIM, where ExtraHop identifies something. So let's take the example on the screen. We see some malicious traffic going from a device through some network and into some victims. And that network traffic is mirrored over to the RevealX platform, where we apply our Cloud-Scale machine learning and we detected ransomware activity. In this case, we take that detection data and we pass it over to a third-party partner. This may be someone like a SOAR, or it may be directly to something like a SIM. So for example, CrowdStrike Logscale. And then you're able to take that data and pass it through further automation workflows that you might have that would take the appropriate response. However, ExtraHop RevealX is a very flexible platform, and going through a SOAR platform or taking a multi-step approach is not required. RevealX is capable of sending API messages, syslog messages, writing to Kafka topics and MongoDBs directly from the platform as part of our very flexible integration capabilities. So as a result of that, we can now take a detection data that we see, send that straight over to something like Logscale, or send that straight over to something like Falcon, make an API call immediately when we see it, directly to something like the CrowdStrike platform, and stop that threat immediately without the need for any human intervention. This, of course, would not be something you would want to apply across the board to detections, but certainly something that you might consider applying to very high-risk detections where time is of the essence. Now, talking a little bit about Logscale and what we're able to do there, what we see here on the screen right now is an example of an ExtraHop detection. I can take you over to another environment here, a different demo environment where I have hundreds of various detections where we can get some better examples of high-risk ones that you might want to apply something like this for and really understand the value. So as I step into this Sunburst's command and control activity detection, all of the different data points you see here on the screen, such as the title, the description, the offender, the victim, various records related to the activity, all the metadata about this detection that ExtraHop has observed, all of this can get bundled up as a JSON object or what have you and fed into a platform like CrowdStrike Logscale, where you can then compare it to other telemetry you have from other data sources like EDR or logs, creating that complete visibility everywhere, true XDR solution for your enterprise with data sources coming from the network, coming from logs, coming from agents, being aggregated in something like a competent platform like Logscale, where you can analyze it and take action. And that's just as easy to integrate as anything else we've talked about so far today. Now, there are a couple more things I want to show you here briefly as we come to a close. One of those is one of the main pieces of value that you're likely getting from your CrowdStrike investment so far is their very high quality threat intelligence. This is going to be observables like hosts, observables like IP addresses that are part of threat intelligence lists, informing us that these are associated with malware distribution, command and control activity, etc. When you integrate CrowdStrike with ExtraHop, while ExtraHop already has a very robust threat intelligence library of its own that is constantly updated by our teams and fed directly to the platform, you can also stack on top of that CrowdStrike's premium threat intelligence capabilities and all that comes along with that, so that whenever IP addresses or hosts are observed on the network that are also listed as part of CrowdStrike's threat intelligence, we can inform you of that as suspicious connections, fire detections, orchestrate workflows, etc., to help you respond to that accordingly. We can look at some examples here. So I'm going to click here and drill down into a host query we saw that was suspicious. We saw 4 different host queries in a quick burst around 1300 hours that were suspicious to this zupertech.com. And as I click on this, I can see threat intelligence information for this. And we can see that the threat intelligence information we're looking at here was shared to us by CrowdStrike. And we can see a lot of information about it, like who the actor is, what type of malware is associated with this, where this falls on the kill chain, etc. And we have a direct link here back over to CrowdStrike Falcon X, so you can collect more information about this and carry on your investigation there. When you combine best of breed NDR with best of breed EDR, and then begin to build a powerful data aggregation solution, a SIM like Logscale on top of that, pulling all of these data sources together in one place, and then begin to apply intelligence, machine learning, rule sets, alerts to this, this is how you really achieve true XDR, true detect anything capabilities, where you are immune to the challenges that come with different data sources, where, for example, the modern enterprise doesn't consist of just a bunch of Windows machines. It's Windows and Linux and often Apple computers, and it consists of containers, multi-cloud environment oftentimes, sometimes thousands or even millions of IoT devices. Very often, by the numbers, 80+% of these do not support agents. Now, while you will always have an agent installed on your domain controllers, your critical infrastructure, think about how broad the attack surface is that likely isn't covered by agents now. We cover this as best as we can with logs. Problem with logs are they can be disabled during an attack. As we've all seen, many IoT solutions or appliance-based solutions have very limited configurability to the verbosity of those logs, to where you're not able to actually control the data you're getting. And so as a result, you miss out on information you would prefer to collect. The beauty of network telemetry and looking at those raw network packets, not synthetic tests, but actually the raw network traffic flowing between devices, is that you're able to identify what's really going on, get that ground truth, and then be able to apply that as universal intelligence to your whole environment, regardless of whether the individual asset supports it, whether the asset owner even knows it's being done. This is all happening through an out-of-band network tap that allows you to collect this telemetry from the very first connection the device makes to the very last, as long as it's part of your network. So that's what I have today to talk about here. I wanted to just cover this as best as I could, front to back. The features of this, I think it's really exciting. I think we're headed to a really interesting place in enterprise security, where disparate tools and this kind of idea of being able to start applying true automation to things so that we can get real insights faster and arrive at a point of knowledge and understanding about our own environment, where we're starting to actually catch up with the growth, where this explosive growth into the cloud, growth into containers makes it incredibly difficult to maintain visibility. But best of breed solutions like CrowdStrike, like ExtraHop, are bringing some really interesting products into play that I think are going to go a long way towards helping us cover this off and really get back that visibility and that understanding of what's taking place in our environment, and maybe just as importantly, have easy and direct ways to respond to things so that we are able to keep up with the speed and respond to threats where they exist, and also maintain visibility across our enterprise, understand where we're weak before those attacks take place so that we can remediate those. Thanks so much and have a great day.